Hello again. Today, we're going to talk about something we all have at home but rarely protect adequately: our home Wi Fi network. And believe me, this is much more important than it seems. Your Wi Fi network is literally the gateway to your entire digital life. Think about it: your computers, phones, tablets, smart TVs, security cameras, everything is connected to that network. And if that network isn't protected, you are leaving that door wide open. Let's start by understanding what having a compromised Wi Fi network really means. It's not just about someone using your internet for free. When an attacker accesses your Wi Fi network, they can see everything you do online. They can intercept your passwords, access your devices, view your security camera feeds, and steal financial information. And if you work from home, they can compromise confidential corporate information. All of this while you don't even realize someone else is inside your network. But it can get worse. Attackers can use your connection for illegal activities. And guess who will appear responsible when the authorities investigate? Yes, the answer is simple: you, because the attack originated from your IP address. Let me share some real cases that have been in the news so you understand this isn't theory, it's happening every day. A few years ago, a man in Florida was arrested after authorities traced illegal material being downloaded from his IP address. After months of investigation and anguish, it was discovered that his neighbor had been using his unprotected Wi Fi network to download that content. The innocent man had to go through that entire legal ordeal, lost his job, faced social stigma, all because his Wi Fi network wasn't protected. In another widely reported case, a couple in the UK discovered that someone had hacked their Wi Fi network and was accessing their baby monitor cameras. The attackers could see and hear everything happening in the baby's room, and they even went as far as speaking through the camera, terrorizing the family. This happened because they were using default passwords on both the router and the cameras. There was a particularly disturbing case in California where an attacker managed to access a family's Wi Fi network and from there compromised all their smart home devices. They controlled the lights, the thermostat, the smart locks, and even the irrigation system. The family started noticing strange behaviors: lights turning on and off by themselves, the temperature changing for no reason, doors unlocking in the middle of the night. For weeks, they thought it was a technical glitch or that the house was haunted. The reality was much more terrifying. Someone had total control of their home. I can also mention a case that occurred in Europe. This involved an executive working from home during the pandemic. Unknowingly, his Wi Fi network had been compromised by criminals who monitored all his work video calls for months. They stole confidential information about acquisitions his company was negotiating, and then used that information for insider trading on the stock market. The company lost millions of dollars, and the executive almost lost his career, all because his home Wi Fi network had factory settings left unmodified. Then there are cases of mass attacks. A few years ago, security researchers discovered a botnet called VPN Filter that had infected over 500,000 home routers worldwide. Attackers exploited routers with default passwords or outdated firmware to take control of them. Once infected, these routers could be used to launch attacks against other systems or steal information passing through them. As you can see, attacks on Wi Fi networks are happening constantly. But don't worry too much. The good news is that protecting your Wi Fi network doesn't require you to be a technology expert. There are 5 fundamental steps you can take, and today we are going to go through them so you can be more protected. The first step, and probably the most important one, is to change your router's default administrator password. Now, this is different from the Wi-Fi password you use to connect your devices. The administrator password is the one that gives access to the entire router configuration, where all critical security settings can be changed. And here is the problem. Most routers come with ridiculously simple administrator passwords like admin admin or admin password. And the worst part is that these passwords are publicly known. There are entire databases on the internet that list default credentials for thousands of router models. An attacker simply has to look up your router model, find the credentials, try to access it, and if you never change them, they have total control of your network. To change this, open a web browser and enter your router's address, usually something like 192.168.1.1 or 192.168.0.1. This address should be on a sticker attached to the router or in the documentation. When you enter that address, it will ask for a username and password. Use the default credentials that came with the router. Enter the settings, look for the administrator or security section, and change that password to something strong and unique. At least 12 characters, combining uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. And use characters that have nothing to do with you, like initials or birthdays. Does this seem too complicated and you're not sure how to change your router's admin password? Then contact your internet provider. They can guide you step by step, and believe me, it is really worth doing. The second step is to change your Wi-Fi network password. Well, this is the password all your devices use to connect. Many people use something simple, like their last name, or 1234567 because it's easy to remember and share with guests. But those passwords are incredibly easy to crack. Attackers have automated tools that can try millions of common combinations in a few hours. A strong Wi-Fi password should have at least 16 characters. It doesn't have to be completely random. You can use a passphrase that makes sense to you, but that no one else would guess. For example, "My black dog eats cookies at 7" is definitely better than "Doggy123." It's long, it's easy for you to remember, but very difficult for others to guess. When you change the Wi-Fi password, all your devices will disconnect because they will be trying to use the old password. You will have to reconnect each device with the new password. I know it's a bit tedious, but it's a one-time inconvenience that will give you permanent peace of mind. And here is something important. The router administrator password and the Wi-Fi password must be different. Do not use the same password for both. You need to generate two completely distinct levels of security. Now, if you have frequent visitors, set up a guest network. Most modern routers allow this. It is a separate network that your visitors can use to access the internet, but it doesn't give them access to your personal devices or files shared on your main network. Give that guest network a strong password too. In case your router doesn't allow this, you could buy an affordable additional router just for your guests. Separating your devices from your visitors' computers or devices will incredibly improve security. It's not about mistrusting your guests, it's about mistrusting your guests' devices, which might have security flaws. The third step is to ensure your router is using a modern encryption system. Encryption encodes all data traveling through your network, making it unreadable to anyone trying to intercept it. The standard recommended right now is WPA3, but if your router doesn't have this option, you must at least use WPA2. These are modern security protocols that are extremely difficult to crack. What you definitely should not use is WEP, or any setting that says security disabled. Those old protocols can be hacked in minutes by anyone with basic knowledge. To verify which encryption system you are using, go back into your router settings, look for the wireless or Wi-Fi security section, and there you will see what type of encryption is active. If you see WPA3, perfect. If you see WPA2, you are fine. But if you see WEP or nothing, change immediately to WPA2 at a minimum. Now, if your router is very old and supports neither WPA2 nor WPA3, you really should consider buying a new router. Modern routers aren't expensive, and the investment will truly be worth it. Plus, new routers generally offer better speed and coverage. The fourth step is to keep your router's firmware updated. Firmware is basically the software that makes the device run. It's important to understand that manufacturers constantly release updates to fix security vulnerabilities they discover. When you don't update the firmware, you are leaving those vulnerabilities open for attackers to exploit. Many modern routers have an automatic update option. Go into your router settings and check if there is an option to enable automatic updates. If there is, turn it on and forget about it. The router will update itself overnight without you having to do anything. If your router doesn't have the automatic update option, then you need to log in manually every so often to check if updates are available. Generally, there is a button that says "Check for updates" or "Update firmware." It's a bit annoying, but it is critical for keeping your network safe. And this isn't limited just to the router. All devices connected to your network also need to be updated. Your smart TVs, security cameras, video game consoles, voice assistants, everything. Cybercriminals constantly look for vulnerabilities in these devices because they know many people never update them. An outdated device on your network can be the entry point an attacker needs to compromise the whole network. Configure each device to update automatically whenever possible. If you can't set up automatic updates, at least check manually every month if updates are available. The fifth and final step is to periodically review which devices are connected to your network. This is something you should do at least once a month. Most modern routers have a feature that shows you a list of all connected devices. You can access this from the router settings, which gives you a very clear view of everything connected. Review that list carefully. You should recognize every device. If you see something you don't recognize, something with a strange name, or a device you don't remember connecting, that is an alarm signal. It could be an attacker who managed to access your network. Well, here is the challenge. Many devices have technical names that aren't immediately recognizable. For example, a TV might appear as Samsung-TV-S95F, or your printer as HP LaserJet 4102W. IoT devices are particularly problematic because they often have very generic names. Take the time to identify each device when you connect it for the first time, and if your router allows it, rename them to something that makes sense to you. If you find an unauthorized device, disconnect it immediately from the router settings, and then change your Wi-Fi password. Once you change the password, that unauthorized device won't be able to reconnect, and you will have to reconnect all your legitimate devices with the new password. Some advanced routers allow you to configure alerts that notify you when a new device tries to connect to the network. If your router has this function, activate it. It is an additional layer of security that gives you immediate visibility of any unusual activity. Now let me give you some additional tips that complement these 5 fundamental steps. First, change your Wi-Fi network name, that is the SSID. Many people leave the default name that comes with the router, something like Netgear-5G or TP-Link Home. The problem is that these names often reveal the exact model of the router, which gives valuable information to an attacker about which specific vulnerabilities to look for. Change the SSID to something generic that doesn't reveal personal information. Don't use your full name or your address. You could change it to something like Home Network or My Internet, which gives you a higher level of anonymity. And don't put something like FBI Surveillance Network, trying to be funny. That just draws unnecessary attention. You can also hide your SSID completely, so it doesn't appear in the list of available networks. This adds a small extra layer of security, because someone wanting to connect to your network would have to know the exact name of your router. However, this can be a bit inconvenient, because every time you want to connect a new device, you will have to enter the network name manually. Additionally, consider disabling the WPS functionality, which stands for Wi-Fi Protected Setup. This is a feature that allows connecting devices by pressing a button on the router or entering a short PIN number. This might sound very convenient, but it has known security vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit to access your network. Most of the time, you don't need WPS, so it is better to disable it and connect devices the traditional way by entering the full Wi-Fi password. Also, if your router has a built-in firewall, make sure it is activated. The firewall acts as a barrier between your internal network and the internet, blocking unauthorized traffic. Generally, this option is enabled by default, but it is worth checking in the router's security settings. For those people who have a bit more technical knowledge or want to go a step further, consider changing the DNS servers your router uses. DNS is the system that translates website names into IP addresses. Normally, your internet provider gives you default DNS servers, but you can use others, like those from Cloudflare or Google, which often offer better performance and some additional security features, like blocking known malicious sites. Also, the physical location of your router is important from a security perspective. If you have it very close to a window or exterior door, the Wi-Fi signal extends beyond your property, giving potential attackers on the street or neighboring properties better access to your signal. Ideally, place the router in a central location in your home, away from exterior windows. This not only improves coverage inside your house, but also reduces how far the signal extends outside. If you work with particularly sensitive information from home, consider setting up a separate network specifically for work devices. Many modern routers allow creating multiple networks. You can have one for personal devices, one for work devices, and one for guests. This creates segmentation, which means if a device on one network is compromised, the attacker doesn't have automatic access to devices on the other networks. It is also important to remember that IoT devices, those cameras, thermostats, smart bulbs, are often the weakest links in your network security. Many of these devices have poor security by design. When possible, put these devices on a separate network, like the guest network, keeping them isolated from your computers and phones where you have more sensitive information. Finally, be aware of remote access. Some routers allow you to access the settings from the internet and not just from your home network. Unless you really need this function, disable it. Every door you open to your network from the outside is a potential security risk. If all these settings seem overwhelming, you don't have to do it all at once. Start with the 5 fundamental steps we discussed. Change the admin password, change the Wi-Fi password, enable modern encryption, keep firmware updated, and review connected devices. These 5 steps alone will dramatically raise your security. You can implement the other tips gradually when you feel more comfortable. And remember, your Wi-Fi network security isn't something you set once and forget. It is a continuous process. Review connected devices regularly, keep everything updated, Pay attention to strange behaviors like slow internet for no apparent reason or devices acting weirdly. These could be indicators that something isn't right. It is important to remember that your home Wi-Fi network is the foundation of your modern digital life. Protecting it properly isn't optional, it is essential. With these steps, you will be much safer and you will be able to use your network with the confidence that you are protected. Take the time to implement these changes. Your future self and your information will thank you.